Individual rights, or data subject rights, are not just legal obligations, they are the cornerstone of trust between individuals and organizations. They grant people the power to understand and control the uses of their personal data and allow organizations to show their commitment to data protection. In this video, we're going to delve into the core individual rights and some unique and emerging ones. We're going to explore their standards and some common challenges faced when addressing these rights. And finally, we're going to discuss a practical solution to these issues. Welcome back to Privacy PowerUp series. I am Daniela Sanchez, Privacy Knowledge Lead at TrustArc. Now, let's review the core individual rights. The core individual rights include the right to information, access, correction, deletion, objection, and data portability. We're going to break down each of these rights and provide real-world examples so you can grasp their significance. The right to information. Individuals have the right to know if an organization uses their personal information and how they use it. Depending on the jurisdiction, they must provide information such as the purpose of processing, the type of personal data processed by the organization, and contact information of the organization. This information, amongst others, is often the same information that is required to be included in the privacy notice. As an individual, and with the vast amount of data that we produce daily, it's hard to keep track which organizations have our personal data and what uses we have authorized. The right to access. Once an individual confirms the processing of their personal data, they have the right to receive a copy of such personal information. This includes all sorts of personal information, including the ones that consumers might not have realized were being collected, such as inferences based on the interactions with products and services. The right to rectification or corrections. Individuals can request the correction of inaccurate, incomplete, or outdated information. This allows individuals to fix information that could affect their life, such as their credit score. The right to deletion, also known as the right to be forgotten. This allows individuals to request the deletion of personal information in specific circumstances. Some examples are when the personal information is no longer needed for the purpose of processing, when the personal data has been handled unlawfully, or when the individual revoked consent and there are no other legal basis for processing. This is also very handy as an individual when you really want that annoying service provider to delete your number and stop calling you. The right to objection. This allows individuals to request the organization to stop processing their personal data for specific purposes, such as marketing and automated processing. And finally, data portability. This right allows individuals to request organizations to transfer their data to another organization. This gives people the freedom to move their data when it's technically feasible. Think of this right as a digital passport for your personal information. Additional individual rights often reflect specific uses of personal information and some technological developments. For instance, the right to opt out from the selling of personal data, the right to limit the uses of sensitive information, and the right to obtain an explanation on decisions made by automated processing that could affect individuals directly. It's important to note that individual rights are not an absolute. There are exceptions, particularly for national security, trade secrets, or other individual rights are at stake. Now, most jurisdictions have very similar requirements on how organizations must respond to individual rights. Understanding these requirements is crucial because they dictate timeframes, how to respond, how to verify the identity of the individual, fee charging policies, and how to handle manifestly unfounded and excessive requests. Most requirements are very similar, but little differences between those requirements, like difference in stipulated timeframes, can make responding to individual rights very challenging. Did you know that by 2024, 75% of the world's population will have their personal data covered by a modern privacy regulation? With this statistic, and with the fact that data continue growing in complexity and volume, and we all know how much time we spend online creating that data, responding to individual rights as a manual process can result in an impossible and a very expensive task. To avoid costly fines and possible legal ramifications, consider automating processes to manage individual rights requests to help you provide a more consistent approach and response. This is all for this segment of Privacy PowerUp series. If you haven't already, go back and watch the previous video in this series that covered these topics. Getting started in privacy, data collection, minimization, retention, deletion, and necessity, and data inventories, mapping, and records of processing. Next up, to help you power up, is privacy contracting. Thanks for watching.